as I am. I am perfect. I am perfect as I am. I am perfect. I am as I am. I am perfect.
I am perfect as I am, and I release all doubts. I am careful with the words I let come out my mouth. I am conscious of the power that I've been endowed. I'm a vessel for the message, so I can't stop now. Yeah, emotions are the fuel that puts the vehicle in motion. They got power like a wave, so baby, ride them like the ocean. And don't try to stuff them down, just leave you feeling like you're broken. And the process is
deep down the middle's got his man, and he's gone. Jason Swain, touchdown.
It's time for the Swain Event with your host, Jason Swain.
My man.
Real sports talk for the real sports fan.
All you chumps are gonna bow when I whoop him.
It's time for the Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue.
Get into his house and a Ric Flair.
Swain Event, SwainEvent.com, fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. It is the best day of the week, February the 15th. Ben McKee, Go Vols 247. I'm Jason Swain, live from the Low T Center studio. Ben, it always bumps, man. Intro always bumps. What's the that bump in your head, Ben McKee?
It never fails. I hope you're doing well this morning, Jason Swain. If you will allow me a moment, I need to get something off my chest because I've been a very, very poor friend to you of late.
Okay. What's new?
We are 15 days into the month, and I have not wished you a happy Black History Month. So I want you to know this morning on February 15th, in a year in which we have extended your month by a day, I want you to know that I've been thinking about you, that I love you, and I respect you. And I hope your Black History Month has been going really, really well so far, and I hope it continues to go well. So I just want to wish you and Nelson and Jackson and Rodney and Big Shot Rob, I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'm going to stop right there. I just want y'all to know that I love y'all, and I'm wishing y'all a happy Black History Month. And I'm sorry that I've been a terrible friend, and it's taken me 2 weeks. It's taken me 15 days to wish you this. I'm sorry. This was a failure on my part, but just know I'm thinking about you, and I love you.
Benjamin McKee, Buckhorn's finest, right on cue. It's just not my month. It should be everybody's month because there's a lot of great Black inventors that made things that everyone has the luxury of using today. But I get what you're saying, Ben. You're being lighthearted. It's all good, my brother. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Well, you at home. You supposed to be covering the game in Arkansas, Ben. What you doing?
Absolutely not.
You ain't want to go?
I was not going to spend my Valentine's Day with the Arkansas basketball team this year. I was going to allow Zakai Ziegler and Rick Barnes and Dalton Connect having to deal with Devo Davis on the floor last night. I'm going to let them hang out with Arkansas on Valentine's Day. I decided to stay home and spend time with my lovely bride.
Cool.
So I had a nice Valentine's Day. Didn't do a thing at all.
I don't need any details.
I didn't want to spend Valentine's Day with Arkansas basketball, quite frankly.
Yeah, we don't need any details about your Valentine's. We good.
Buddy, she is 36 weeks pregnant. 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 36 we That's the only detail you need to know.
Sir, when Jonas Adu is doing his thing, Tennessee has an opportunity to do some things special this year. But when he, for whatever reason, does not step up, is not involved offensively, defensively, not active, then it makes it difficult on Tennessee. Tennessee 6 L's this year. Do we know the average of Jonas Adu's points when Tennessee loses? Well, I do. That's 7.8 points per game. His highest point total in the loss was against North Carolina. 6 against Texas A&M, 6 versus South Carolina, 9 versus Mississippi State, 8 versus Kansas, and 5 against Purdue. But boy, last night, that boy Jonas Adu was doing his thing out there, Ben McKee. Woo! He was a problem. He was efficient as any game we've seen him play at the University of Tennessee. And even more impressive about his performance is, Ben, it was on the road. I know it's Arkansas. I know they're not good. But at the beginning of this game, Ben, I was like, oh, hell, here we go. Here we go. Here comes the ish. Here it comes. Arkansas barely makes 5 or 6 threes per game. But here they come. They're going to hit 5 in the first half. Oh, today they hot. I know it's Valentine's Day yesterday, and love was in the air. But now they hitting threes. This is what Texas A&M did. So I was like, oh. I was already show prepping. Like, oh, man, I'm going to have to rip these dudes tomorrow. I was like, man, I don't want to do it, man. Because, I love the basketball program. It's my favorite program on campus. I'm sorry, it is. I love all of them, but I have a favorite. I don't have to treat the programs at Tennessee like I treat my kids. I can pick a favorite, Ben. I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah, you can, for sure.
And so
as a former Vol, you are allowed to do that.
I'll cut you. I was like, man, I really don't. We can excuse the L to South Carolina midweek. I mean, Texas A&M, it was tough. They shot more threes than they normally shoot. Dalton had an off night. Guys, there was no way I was going to be able to excuse a loss to Arkansas with how they've been playing. But they cooled off. The numbers typically work themselves out. And boy, Jonas Adu was doing his thing. Dalton Connect. Defensively, Ben McKee was on a different level. Dalton Connect defensively turned it up a notch. There you go, Dalton Connect, man. Happy for you. But Jonas, 11 for 14, 23 points, 12 rebounds. A little surprised he didn't have a block, but that's okay. 13 rebounds, 23 points. Man, that's how you ball, Jonas. Man, happy for him. That's a great bounce-back performance by him. You saw it live in person.
Jonas was terrific, and Jimmy Dykes said it a million times on the broadcast last night. But if Tennessee is going to make a run in the NCAA tournament and truly do things that have never been done before, which that's the expectation for this basketball team, this particular iteration of Rick Barnes' basketball team at Tennessee, the expectation is to do something that pretty much the program has never done before. I think most people would be okay with getting to a second Elite Eight ever. I feel that at minimum that would satisfy most people, but in terms of firmly stamping this season as a successful one, I think Final Four is the expectation, and I think that's okay as well. But in order for them to reach the Elite Eight, for the second time ever. In order for them to reach the Final Four for the first time ever, they have to have Jonas Adu play the way that he did last night. And it doesn't only fall on the shoulders of Jonas Adu. He just has to be a very, very key piece to the puzzle. He has to be a rather large piece to the puzzle. And he was tough last night. And you know, Jonas Adu isn't soft by any stretch of the imagination. It's just he's not Tobe Awaka. He's not Grant Williams. That's not his basketball game, and that's okay. What makes Jonas so great is his length and his athleticism, and how well he moves around the floor for his size. That's what makes him great. But in order for him to take that next step, he has, and it's a continued process. He hasn't all of a sudden figured it out. He's got to be able to be athletic for that size while also playing physical. And that's been the next step for Jonas. And you saw that last night. You saw him make several tough physical plays. Still had maybe a moment or two where you're like, man, Jonas, you're 7'7", dunk the basketball. But for the most part, he was really tough, really physical, playing through contact, battling. That's what Tennessee needs from him moving forward. He was terrific last night, and he truly is a game changer when he's on both ends of the floor. And it was just an overall really great night for Tennessee. You mentioned Dalton playing really well. I think you can really, really see that his instincts, his defensive IQ have improved over the course of this season. I think it's night and day different in terms of where his defensive instincts and IQ is at right now compared to the beginning of the season. And he's not where Rick Barnes would want him to be ultimately, but there's no doubt that he's improved significantly on the defensive end. I mean, he is now on a consistent basis, Swain, making big-time plays on the defensive end, whether it be coming up with steals and allowing them to get out in transition or allowing himself to get out in transition. He's coming up with some massive blocks the last several games. And, you know, Dalton's very athletic and very big for his position. So if that is something that Tennessee can consistently count on moving forward, like it looks like they're going to be able to, in terms of 2 to 3 blocks a game from him and 2 to 3 steals that lead to open runouts, I mean, that's huge. That can be the difference in a basketball game. So it was just a great night for Tennessee overall. I think we need to mention Jordan Gainey before we go any further, because that man was on fire last night as well. And he just adds a totally different dynamic to this team if he's able to provide that spark consistently, which he has been able to do of late. 17 points off the bench, 6 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. And I like watching Gainey play defense as much as I do offense. He's all over the place in the face of his man. He's very pesky, very annoying to deal with if you're an offensive player. He had 2 more steals last night, and those led to open runouts as well. So just on down the list, you know, Zakai only had 9 points, but 4 of 8 from the field, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. In 29 minutes, he had the 3rd best plus minus on the team behind Gainey and Dalton. It was just a really good overall night for Tennessee. You know, Santi was 0 of 3 from 3, only had 4 points, but had 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and he had 1 offensive rebound early when it was going back and forth that led to a Dalton Connect 3 that was really impressive, and the hustle is why Rick loves him so much. So Tobe came in and was able to do a couple of things, 4 rebounds, 3 points, had a tough and one, had a terrific block at the rim as well. Rick said after the game he liked what Cade Phillips came in and gave them, with JP Estrella being out and listed day-to-day with a leg injury.
Bama boy
Indeed. It was just a really great overall effort, and you expect that against a bad Arkansas team. Bud Walton Arena was as empty and as quiet as I've ever seen it. But at the end of the day, that's a place that you haven't won at since 2009, and you end up going in there, and it's, according to Alex Schwartz, Tennessee's new basketball SID, the 2nd largest road win for Tennessee over a Division I foe in the last 49 seasons. So Arkansas down right now, but with the way South Carolina loss had gone, Texas A&M loss, I thought that was a really, really nice performance to get back on track. And again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, Swain, about a week and a half ago, coming out of that Kentucky game. You have a real opportunity to stack wins. And you've got Vanderbilt on Saturday, a Vanderbilt team who had a nice win on Tuesday night over Texas A&M in Memorial. Ezra Mannion, I really like watching him play basketball, and he had a heck of a game-winning shot. So that's a game you should win in your own building on Saturday, obviously, and then you go to Missouri on Tuesday night, and Missouri is butt booty terrible like the Hogs are. So a real chance, real opportunity to stack some wins here coming up.
865-255-03. Good win. It's hard to win in this conference. It's hard to win on the road. And to win by 30, woo, should feel really good about that one. If you're Arkansas, you should feel terrible. The panic button needs to be hit if you are Arkansas, getting beat like that at home. That should never happen. On the other side of the break, will Tennessee need to replace 2 position coaches or just 1? We'll discuss that on the other side. Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue, Ben McKee, Go Vols 247. I'm Jason Swain, live here from the Low T Center studio. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
Beatty Chevrolet saves you money. 2.9% APR or $5,000 total value on new Silverado 1500s. New Equinox with 1.9% APR plus no payments for 90 days or $2,500 total cash allowance at Beatty Chevrolet.
When you are craving some quality barbecue, there's only one place to go. Dead End Barbecue. Dead End Barbecue has been featured on ESPN's Taste of the Town, the first barbecue restaurant on the SEC Network, CBS Sports, Headline News Tailgate Show, Amazon Prime's The Restaurant Comeback, Food Paradise, and named one of the top 100 barbecue restaurants in America. The search is over. Dead End Barbecue is located on 3621 Sutherland Avenue right here in Knoxville. You can even have it delivered right to your door through Chow Now. Visit their website at deadendbbq.com. Dead End Barbecue. The search is over.
Hey, Vol Nation. This is Charlie Pratt, financial representative with Modern Woodman and MWA Financial Services. Modern Woodman has been touching lives and securing futures for 140 years. Being born and raised here in East Tennessee, I'm honored to help East Tennesseans in all phases of life with retirement planning, investments, and life insurance. A big win on Saturday starts with preparation early in the week. A secure financial future starts with planning today. Contact my office today at 865-919-6468 to review your financial plan and make sure you are on track for success. As always, go Vols.
Registered representative and investment advisor, representative offering securities and advisory services through NWA Financial Services, Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Modern Woodman of America, member FINCRA, SIPC.
Good morning, Swain Event family. Take a deep breath in and release. We're all back together in the AM and life is good. If you have real estate needs, just give me a call, Jennifer Morris, at 865-257-7897 or email me at jennifermorris865@gmail.com. And go Vols.
Just because you can't call in doesn't mean that you have to sit on the sideline. Impact the show with a text box. It's part of the free Swain Event app.
I think we have been warned. There's no reason when Tennessee plays Auburn later in the season not to be prepared and ready for a tough basketball game. It won't be what South Carolina experienced. My goodness. 40-point beatdown. 40 points. My goodness.
Do not have that on my bingo card last night. I expected Auburn to win. I would go as far as to say that they have the best home court advantage in college basketball right now, as of today. I would say they have the best. They're certainly in the conversation. Good luck finding a couple of environments better than theirs right now. I know you have some of the traditional ones, Kansas, Duke, that are rocking and rolling when they are rocking and rolling. But man, I've been in that arena for some of these Bruce Pearl teams against top 10, 15, top 20 Tennessee games, and they've been terrific college basketball environments. So I didn't think they'd beat Carolina by 40 last night, but knowing how they play in that building, it also wasn't all that surprising. Just because, again, I think right now it's hard to argue that it's not the best home court advantage in basketball, just because of how on top of the players they are. The fans there, it's not a big arena, but they're right on top of you, and they are loud. They're already camping. They were camping out. I think they play Kentucky this weekend at home, and College Game Day is going to be there, if I'm not mistaken. The students were already camping out as the game was ending last night for Saturday's game. So I think that tells you pretty much all you need to know.
Two things here, Ben. Number one, you say you have experienced Auburn's arena.
Where you go, baby?
I want to know what section were you sitting in when you went?
The media section.
Sure. Secondly, you need to call South Carolina. When
What
you
did
say,
I call them?
When you say Carolina, there's only one Carolina, Ben McKee. That's North Carolina in basketball.
Yeah.
When I hear Carolina, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, Tar Heels. Oh yeah, that's Carolina. Understand there's a difference, Ben. It's South Carolina. That's what you call them. Now, if you want to talk about women's basketball, okay, you say Carolina. But men's basketball, huh?
It's the same university.
No. It just don't hit the same, Ben. It's a difference.
Well, yes, but at Carolina is called Carolina because of the university, not because of the basketball team. North Carolina is more recognizable as a university than South Carolina.
Oh, absolutely. But
can I call them the Cox, or is that not allowed either?
That's what they are.
I mean, well, Carolina's part of the nickname, just like that is part of Gamecocks.
Their mascot is Gamecocks. Cox is
There's
short for Gamecocks.
Several different names that you can refer to South Carolina as. Yeah. I almost said Carolina, but I changed it for you. I want you to know. I was going to say Carolina there, but, I said I don't want to hurt Swain's feelings.
No, my feelings are not hurt.
During Black History Month. I don't want to hurt his feelings already more than I already have. So I made sure to change it to South Carolina.
Don't even try to do that. Nope.
I know you really have turned into the grammar police. I can't say former.
Because it makes no sense when you say former. It's stupid.
No, it's not. You just don't want it to be called that.
Because it's stupid.
You can think that is stupid, but technically I am right. Technically, they no longer play football or basketball or baseball for the sport. But technically, that is correct.
No, it's not correct. If you're calling people a VFL on one hand, you can't be calling people a former Vol on the other hand. It's literally the opposite. It makes no sense. A former Vol is what you are when you become a Tennessee student or player or whatever. That's a title that you don't shed. But you do shed the title of a receiver, point guard, tight end, catcher, tennis player. Like, you're going to stop playing sports at one point. And that is a former Vol athlete. But you're not a former Vol. That makes no sense. So how about this? Either you stop using VFL or you stop using former Vol. You got to choose one side here, man.
I don't really use VFL. I use former. I usually write former Tennessee wide receiver, former Tennessee such and such, but it's not technically wrong to say former Vol. Just like I am a former Vol because I don't go to school there anymore. Okay. I am a Tennessee alum. I am a former Vol. With my diploma hanging
not
on
a
the
Vol
wall,
anymore?
I'm a former Vol because I don't go to school there anymore.
You're a former Vol student. so you're not Vol anymore, Ben?
I'm a Tennessee alum. I'm an alumnus of the University of Tennessee.
Okay, you are alum, which means you evolved. That's exactly what it means. Oh my gosh.
Hey, how about this?
I can't.
How about this? You describe it as you want to describe it, and I will describe it as I want to describe it. And if you want to think that I'm wrong, then so be it.
It's literally contradicting each other. But if that's what you want to do, you go for it.
I will.
If Brian Jean-Marie wants to go to Michigan, hey, go for it. Understand they are the defending champions. Understand he's been up there before. But I also understand that he has probably his best group of linebackers that he's had coming back. His room is the healthiest it's been since he's been here. Rodney Garner had an opportunity to go to Auburn, chose to stay. You look at his room, and his room is going to be the best room that it's been since he has been here. So Tennessee right now currently looking for a running backs coach. Will that be Carlos Locken from Oregon? Will it be Matt Merritt from Miami? Don't think it's going to be the running back candidate that was previously with the Chargers, but just took over as the running back coach for the New Orleans Saints. It made zero sense to me why a coach in the NFL with a young family would want to come coach college football. It made no sense. So you can scratch his name off the list. That's just not going to happen for Tennessee. But you do have an opportunity. Not saying Jerry Mack didn't do a great job, but you do have opportunity to get better. And if you're Jerry Mack, you want Tennessee to try to get better because you're not gonna get this. You're not gonna hire a coach that's the same. You're gonna get a coach who's better, or you're gonna get a coach who's worse. That's just kind of how it happens. And here's Tennessee's opportunity to possibly hire someone that's a little bit better. Anthony Jones, running backs coach at TCU. Larry Porter, North Carolina. I'm going to eliminate him from my mind. What I'm expecting is Tennessee to get someone who is a little bit newer in the game of college football, that has a fresh outlook on recruiting, that's not burnt out by recruiting during this day and age of college football. There's a lot of coaches around the country, good football coaches, but they ain't recruiting at the same level they did. I remember when Jeremy Pruitt was hired, and he was assembling his staff, and he hired Chris Rump. And I was like, oh, man, I remember Chris Rump when he was at this place, and he was at that place, when he was at Bama, Florida. Yeah, he recruited well there, and we understand the recruiting hurdles and all that stuff that was going on for guys like T. Martin and Jay Graham and Chris Rump. You notice those guys didn't get involved. Their names were not called. They probably saw what was going on and was like, ain't messing up my reputation. I'm not doing what they doing. But I didn't see the Chris Rump that recruited at Alabama and Florida. And so I look at Larry Porter, I'm like, well, he's been coaching for a long time. Is he the same Larry Porter that was recruiting at LSU? Was recruiting early in his career? I don't know that. But he does have strong ties. I think North Carolina is one of the most important states for Tennessee. Hard to go down to expect to get players from Texas and Alabama consistently, but North Carolina, you can win there. So I felt like Larry Porter was really good because of those connections. But I need someone that got that energy, man, when it comes to recruiting, because you got to have a different type of energy to recruit in today's college football. There's some coaches right now that just they're failing to adapt to college football today. And you can't hire a coach who's failing to adapt. You can't hire a coach who's burnt out on recruiting kids that in the first meeting they're like, "Yo, how much? How much y'all gonna pay me?" Like, you got to be willing to have those conversations. And if you don't want to have those conversations, then you probably need to be on your way out as a college football coach, because those are going to be part of the conversations moving forward. So who can embrace that? Who can handle that? Who can build relationships with young men, but also at the same time be able to develop, because we have a young running back room. So got to replace Jerry Mack, and you may or may not have to replace Brian John Marie. Will you cry, Ben, if Brian John Marie goes to Michigan?
No, but I will call him a former Vol at that point.
Yeah, I'll call him a former Vol coach, former Tennessee coach.
Seems like there seems to be some nice buzz for Carlos Lachlan, the Oregon running backs coach, but am I wrong for feeling that would surprise me if he left Oregon, who seems to be in a spot to win a championship for Tennessee?
Hey, man, home is home.
But
home is home.
That's true.
Bro.
He is from the South. That's a very good point,
Bro, he played 4 years at Chattanooga.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah,
for sure.
Memphis, Maine.
Memphis, Maine.
He lived in Memphis. Strong ties in Memphis. Home is home.
Yeah, I mean that kind of says all you need to say. But how important is that to him?
We'll find out, because Oregon does have it rolling.
Oregon does have it rolling. I mean, they're what? Top 3, top 5 program right now?
Top what?
Top 3, top 5 program right now in terms of opportunities to go win a championship?
Okay. All right. Opportunities. Yeah.
They are positioned to go win a national championship.
Yeah. Georgia, Ohio State,
Michigan.
You got to throw Michigan there because they just did it. Texas.
I think Oregon's in that conversation.
I like putting Oregon in there. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's to me that would be a terrific hire if they can pull that one off. I'm with Brian Hunsucker on the text box. I don't see Matt Merritt happening, considering that Miami announced him as the running backs coach yesterday. Not saying that 100% eliminates him.
What that mean, man? What that mean? We saw Ryan Grubb speak at the Booster Club and say, "I'm your offense coordinator," and pieced out hours later.
Right. As I was saying, I don't think that's the end all be all, but as Brian Hunsucker said on the text box, and I agree, I have a hard time thinking that Matt Merritt would be okay with them putting that news out there if he thought that he could get the Tennessee job.
Yeah. I mean, unless Tennessee was like, here's more money that we're going to force you to say no. We just never know what happens in negotiations, but I do understand that point. Like, I get it. And the Matt Merritt hire will be a very on-brand hire for Josh Heupel, in my opinion. Like, it would be the closest thing to hiring from within.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah. I mean, it would be the most comfortable hire out of that group.
With Brian Jean Marie, I wouldn't cry if he left, but as I said on Tuesday, I think that would be a pretty significant loss.
Oh yeah.
For Tennessee, especially when you pair it with the loss of Jerry Mack. I mean, 2 of your best assistants on the staff, just in terms of the overall health of that position group and their ability to recruit. I mean, they're towards the top of the list, if not at the top of the list. So, not an ideal set of position coaches to lose. That would be a significant loss for Tennessee. I'd be very curious to see the direction that Tennessee went if he did end up leaving. Seems to be a lot of, speaking of negotiations, seems to be a lot of back and forth in that one. It seems like Michigan is trying to drop off some big bags, but also seems like Tennessee's trying to answer to Michigan dropping off the big bags, and seems to kind of be going back and forth from what I understand. So we'll see how that one ends up playing out.
Yeah, I mean, Brian John Marie was due for a raise. I mean, you look at, he's one of the best recruiters on the staff. Should he be? I don't know. Because I look at some guys on some staffs who are listed as the best recruiters or one of the best recruiters on their staff, and they shouldn't be. That means that speaks to how behind your recruiting staff is. When you have some coaches who are thought of to be one of the best coaches on the staff. But I won't say that in this case. Brian John Marie has been one of Tennessee's best recruiters. So if you lose him, I'm not going to judge anybody for crying. If you're a Tennessee fan, because it's going to hurt. It'll hurt. It's going to sting for sure. And you can't play around with a linebackers coach. You can't play around with that position. You might be able to play around running back, maybe play around tight end. You can't play around with a linebacker coach. You can't just
not in the SEC.
Yeah, you can't just be hiring somebody just because he can recruit. Like, you can't throw Brian Niedermeyer at linebackers. How we gonna give you a chance on the field? We're gonna just throw you at linebackers. Nah, you can get your head beat in if you don't have a good linebackers coach.
They got to be able to recruit and develop.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Brian Jean Marie so good at what he does. Michigan seems to be very confident in their ability to bring him back. But I also feel like Tennessee's confident in what they've been able to do in terms of trying to match what Michigan is offering, or even go past what Michigan is offering. So there seems to be confidence on both sides for different reasons. And as I said a moment ago, we'll just have to see how it plays out. And if Tennessee continues to match or get close to what Michigan is doing, it may come down to Brian Jean Marie just having to pick between one or the other.
He likes living here, so.
He does, but they are the defending champs, and he's been there before. And Sharon, correct? Sharon Moore, not the actor Shamar Moore.
There's not an M in his first name, Ben.
What?
There's not an M in his first name.
No, it's Sharon. Right? Isn't it Sharon?
I know you like to change definitions and change people's names, but his name is Sharon Moore.
No,
Shamar
I don't like to change definitions based off of how I want it to be defined, like you do. But it does seem like Brian Jean Marie is very close with Coach Moore. Is that an appropriate way to label him and title him for you? You've already said I don't describe former
his first name
players
was Sharon.
And students correctly. I don't list off the states and universities correctly. Is that am I allowed to call him Coach Moore?
You can call him Coach Moore. His name is Sharon and not Shamar.
I know. I keep telling you, I get him mixed up with the actor.
But yeah, I mean they probably have a really good relationship too, because they they're on the same coaching circles. So I get it, man. I get why BJM is in this position. I get it. I get why. Number one, go get your money, man. If you feel like you deserve more money and someone else is willing to pay you more money, get your money, 100%.
Speaking.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to hit up the text box. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished with that sentence. Bo from Riceville wants to know your thoughts on, speaking of bringing guys back to a former school they coached at, your thoughts on Robert Gillespie.
Nah, man. Robert Gillespie, I think, is the best running backs coach in the country. But if you're Robert Gillespie, why would you leave Alabama?
Well, for one, Nick Saban's no longer there.
Yeah, that's my point. Like I know, like Nick Saban brought him in. Gillespie was at North Carolina, who he did a great job there. He did a great job here. I think Robert Gillespie is awesome. I think when he was on, Butch's staff, he got influenced by Butch's mess. But you put Gillespie with a competent head coach, like he was with Matt Brown and Nick Saban, like Robert Gillespie is one of the best back coaches in the country, man. Like, dude is legit. But think about it, if you're Robert Gillespie. You're needed more in Alabama than in Tennessee because Kalen DeBoer's taking over. He retained you and some other coaches because Kalen DeBoer needs you. Like, he's in a really, really good spot. And he has a lot of talent. And I don't know how Robert Gillespie feels about Heupel's scheme, but if I'm Robert Gillespie, man, I'm good, man. I'm staying where I am. He also has a young family. I'm staying where I am. He's gonna get paid a lot of money. I would love Robert Gillespie as the running back coach because I think, again, he's one of the best in the country, if not the best. But as I put myself in his shoes, I wouldn't leave to go anywhere unless to the NFL.
Which one has more stability?
I look at them the same, honestly, because I think Kalen DeBoer is going to be there for a while.
Yeah,
I think he's
I
a
do
good
as well.
coach. Like, I think he's a good coach, and I think Robert Gillespie is such a good coach. It doesn't really matter what happens. Like, he's going to be good.
But here's my thing with Kalen DeBoer. I agree that Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. I do, and I think it was a very good hire for Alabama. But he's not Nick Saban, and
Really?
the moment he loses a football game, he's gonna get run out of town like Brian Harsin.
He gonna get run out of town for losing a football game, Ben?
Not a football game, Captain Literal. But
You said it.
My point is, speaking in hyperboles, the moment things don't start to look good, he's gonna get run out of town like Brian Harsin. Not saying that he is Brian Harsin. I think he is a much better football coach, obviously, than Brian Harsin. But the moment Auburn could turn on Brian Harsin, it turned on Brian Harsin. And I think it's the same for Kalen DeBoer. The moment they can turn on him, they will turn on him. I don't know if they'll reach that point because, again, I think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. I think if they allow him to be successful, he will be successful in Tuscaloosa. But there's no doubt that he's going to have a shorter leash because he's not Nick Saban than the coach following Kalen DeBoer or the coach after that. Just because he unfortunately for him, it's a blessing and a curse, he's the one following Nick Saban. So if he doesn't have a year one that will satisfy Bama fans as he tries to manage the roster attrition fallout from Saban and adjusting to life in the SEC, playing the schedule that he does. Alabama's still trying to get its NIL set and settled and figured out. Like, I'm telling you, the moment that they get an opportunity to run him out of town, because a lot of Bama fans were not happy with that hire when it was announced. It was not. It took them 24, 36, 48 hours to talk themselves into it. I think I said on the show, my buddies were talking about how he's Brian Harsin 2.0.
Your buddies are stupid. They're idiots.
No,
Brian Harsin
they're
2.0?
fans.
Are you serious?
Look,
the dude coached the national
yes.
championship game. He has been a major winner everywhere he's been. He's pulled off drastic turnarounds in multiple stops. Brian Harsin.
I understand that,
idiots.
and I agree. This was that was my response as well. But a lot of Bama fans felt that way. A lot of Bama fans were underwhelmed with the hire. They wanted Steve Sarkisian. They wanted D'Amico Ryans. they wanted like
what
grand slam hires.
Why would Steve Sarkisian leave Texas? It's
Well,
the
because
best job in America.
He coached at Alabama, and he deserves, or he owes his success at Texas to coaching at Alabama when Nick Saban gave him another opportunity.
Golly.
So, like, I think Bama fans, that they weren't like mad at the hire with Kalen DeBoer, but a good chunk of them were underwhelmed. And it took them 24, 36, 48 hours. Those same people that I said were referring to him as Brian Harsin 2.0, within a day or two, they came back and changed their mind. So, like, it took them a minute to talk themselves into it, which makes me think that if he loses the game that he's not supposed to this season, which is likely as they make that transition, I think they'll turn on him. And obviously, one loss is not going to run him out of town. But I do believe that just like Brian Harsin, Auburn fans did not want Brian Harsin when he was hired. The moment they could take advantage of that and run him out of town, they did. So I do wonder where Coach G would have more stability.
You just shared how emotionally unstable a college football fan is.
Yes.
You just illustrated that. That they called him Brian Harsin 2.0, which is the dumbest thing ever. And then like a day later, they were okay. And we saw people turn on Josh Heupel when we lost to Florida this past year. And then people were okay. Like that's what happens. People emotionally overreact and say stuff that they don't mean because they're emotional, man. This is just what happens. He is going to lose a game he's not supposed to lose. Because you know why? Everyone does that. Every coach does that. It happens.
Vaughn Burnham sums it up perfectly. Swain, you are looking at this from a normal person reality. Alabama fans live in a false reality.
Hey, man. They've been winning a lot. They've been winning a lot. They've been on top of college football. Their perception of reality is a little warped.
Absolutely. But, like, getting it back to the original conversation with Coach G, like, I feel you, everything you're saying, but I do think there's something to be said about maybe having more stability with Tennessee and being valued just as much at Tennessee as you are at Alabama because of how often we talk about how important the running back position is to Tennessee's offense.
He's not an option. He's not good.
I get that, but I know we set off on that conversation maybe unrealistically, but
he's not an option.
Just talking about it in general, even if he isn't an option, I do think Tennessee would have plenty to offer him.
Yeah, I'm not leaving it from Gillespie.
Well, we know you're not leaving the University of Alabama.
Yeah, I just said it. If I'm Gillespie, I'm not leaving that position. I wouldn't. Now, if I'm some of these other coaches, like a Carlos Locken or a Anthony Jones, then yeah, like I'm because home is home, man. Tennessee is home. There's strong ties to Tennessee. And the thing about the job at Tennessee is like Josh Heupel's easy to work for. That dude's super laid back. Some cases probably too laid back, but he is awesome to work for. Something that Jerry Mack has said, and I think that matters.
And something I was about to say. I think the same thing you're saying is in a day and age where we mentioned it a moment ago, where coaches are bolting for the NFL, that matters. That matters. Absolutely. I think that's more important than ever that you as a head coach are easy to work for in the realm of the craziness that is being employed in college athletics, particularly with college football. You can't, if you run your assistant coaches into the ground, they will bolt.
No, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. You gotta have a good working environment. And so, word is, Josh Heupel has a great one, man. Which probably is the reason why the decision for Brian Jean-Marie is a tough one. I get it. I totally get it. I understand. 865-255-03 is our telephone number. If you want to give us a call, just hit us up from the Swain Event app. We'll put you on hold, patch you through, let us know your name and where you're calling from. You can use the Beatty Chevrolet text box. We will go to that text box after this, so don't go anywhere. Be right back.
You're listening to the Swain Event.
And you know this, man.
Here in Knoxville, we love it when a squirrel's in the checkerboards. But when there's a squirrel in our attic, that's all sides. When that happens, call Alpha Wildlife. They're Knoxville's veteran-owned and operated wildlife removal company. When unwanted critters put their feet up on your coffee table, call 865-224-6555. Let the Tennessee fans at Alpha Wildlife evict those unwanted tenants and set your home up with a winning defense to keep that wildlife where it belongs. That's Alpha Wildlife at 865-224-6555. They have locations in Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, and in parts of South Carolina. Check them out online at alphawildlife.com.
Fellas, it's a new year. Low T Center can make it a great one. If you've been feeling tired and grumpy, have noticed a lack of motivation and drive, you may have low T. Low testosterone levels can cause weight gain, loss of muscle mass, and so much more. I recommend Low T Center. It's where I get my levels tested. They make it quick and easy to get your levels checked, and it's only $25. And with their on-site lab, you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. Dead End Barbecue has you covered when you need the food to be on point for your next event. Go to deadendbbq.com to learn more or call 865-414-9417. Dead End Barbecue, the catering search is over.
Hey there, Swain Event crew. Just like fall sports, the Knoxville area real estate market is strong and growing stronger. We're an everything region. When you get the big orange itch to buy, sell, or invest, call me, Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty at 865-257-7897 or email me at jennifermorris865@gmail.com. Go Vols!
Looking for a different way to enjoy the show?
Yes.
Then check out Swain Event TV on YouTube.
All right, it's time to get to the Beatty Chevrolet text box this morning, BeattyChevrolet.com. Nugaval. Ben, how does this year's baseball team look compared to last year's? I'm assuming at this point of the season, it's kind of hard to compare a team that hasn't played a game yet to a team that completed a season. So I'm assuming the question is, at this stage of the game, right before the first game, how would you compare the two teams?
I think this team is in a better position going into the season than last year's team. I believe last year's team wasn't as close when the opener arrived as this team is. And several players and Tony Vitello have made direct comments or alluded to that in the fall or even the last couple of weeks leading up to the season. Xander Seacrest yesterday flat out said that this is the closest team that he has been on in his 4 seasons at Tennessee. So there were some they didn't hate each other last year going into the season, but there were some guys who are no longer here who were frustrated and had misconceptions about what transfer additions were getting NIL-wise upon their arrival at Tennessee. And those players who are no longer here were incorrect in their feelings and allowed that to kind of take over and affect things for the first couple of months. And it took time for them to gel. I don't think that they're going to have to deal with that this season. I think they're already gelled. I think they already have great team chemistry, camaraderie going into the season. So I think that's the biggest difference going into the year. I do think in terms of the recipe for success is going to look a little bit different going into the year. I think you're going to see more high-scoring games more than likely until bullpen roles get settled and guys emerge on the pitching staff. The lineup from top to bottom is just going to be nasty, whereas last year it took a little bit of time to figure out the lineup. And you have A.J. Russell and Drew Beam on the mound, but behind them you're going to have to figure some things out as well. So To me, those are the two biggest differences going into the season. I think this team right now has better team chemistry, which will go a long way over the first month or two of the season. And then I think they're gonna win more through its offense than necessarily on the mound early in the season.
Todd, what's your thoughts on the official baseball roster? I have a feeling there is several redshirt years coming, and several will be transferring to Walters or other junior colleges. Denton's Tennessee career over, or do you think they're saving him for 2025?
In terms of Zane Denton, I think it's up to Zane Denton. I from the outside looking in only see two options. I see a redshirt year and then apply for a waiver to come back and play next season, which the waiver that Tennessee would apply for, I think it feels somewhat confident in its ability to receive that waiver, which would give him another year. It's either sit out and play for Tennessee next year, or it's not play college baseball again and hope you get picked up by somebody. So I think Tennessee's very open to Zane coming back next season, and I think that's their preferred route going forward, but it'll be up to Zane Denton ultimately. In terms of the official roster, I know there's game notes have been put out. I believe there's been some guys added to the online roster. I would caution you and encourage you not to perceive that as the official roster. I would check back maybe tomorrow around lunch, or at least by game time tomorrow. I think Tennessee's SID, Sean Barrows, is doing as great of a job as he possibly can in terms of getting a roster out there. But quite frankly, this coaching staff likes to wait until the very last possible second, whether right or wrong. They have the right to do so because the rules allow them to do that. They wait to the last possible second to decide who is going to redshirt. And I believe the roster has to be official by midnight tonight, and it'll be a 40-man active roster. So I would wait and hold out on viewing something as an official roster until tomorrow. But they have several candidates to redshirt with those freshmen, just because there are so many talented guys and veterans in front of them. I mean, you go on down the list. I mean, there's kind of too many to go over, quite frankly. But there will be, I believe there's 52 currently in the program. So 12 of them are going to have to redshirt it. And you have a couple who are dealing with some injuries, some incoming freshmen that are dealing with some injuries, which will help make that decision easier. But they even have a couple guys, the ones that I'll mention in terms of like it becoming a tough decision, are guys like Blake Grimmer and Camden Bates. Those are two guys that in the fall probably 100% was going to redshirt, but they couldn't stop hitting the baseball the last couple of weeks. So guys like that have made it a tough decision on the coaching staff. But and Ariel Antigua and Dean Curley and Matthew Dallas and guys like that, they're not redshirting. Derek Schaefer, they're not redshirting. It's more of, does Dylan Loy redshirt? Does Blake Grimmer, does Camden Bates, do they redshirt? What do they do with Stone Lawless, a catcher from Huntsville High School, Swain's rival high school back in the day? Tony said yesterday that he thinks that he's a future big leaguer, but he has Cal Stark, Cannon Peebles, Charlie Taylor, and Dalton Bargo all in front of him at the catcher's position. And Tony said yesterday that if you put him in the game, he's confident that he can produce at the plate. But do you want to burn a year of eligibility when he's got four guys in front of him? So those are the decisions that I think that they're still trying to make and coming down to the wire, as Tony does every single season.
Who makes the decision on waivers as it pertains to Zane Denton?
In terms of like whether getting the waiver, or the NCAA?
That'd be interesting. Nelson from Jackson, can I walk in the orange and white game with you or Ben, since there won't be any tickets? Tennessee announced yesterday that the orange and white game will be in Knoxville, will be in Neyland Stadium, but there will only be 10,000 tickets. You know what, Ben? I am proud of us. I'm proud of our nation. I'm proud of all Twitter. I'm proud because I haven't seen much complaining about it. Much about I won't use that word. I'm proud. I'm proud of our fan base. I really am. There was ideas of moving orange and white game to a different city. Not saying it got serious, but something that was tossed around, brought up. This was the absolute right move to make. And I do understand that there are a lot of fans that like this. The spring game is like your chance to really, really get inside the stadium, not have to worry about overpriced tickets, not have to worry about crazy amount of traffic. Perfect for the kids. Perfect. But you're trying to renovate. And Neyland Stadium needs it. As much as we are proud of Neyland Stadium, we're prideful about where Tennessee Vols play, it's old. It needs some upgrades. And there's media members like Ben, they only see the good parts. They get air-conditioned press room. They get all the good goodies and desserts and Wi-Fi. They not in the mud like some of the other Tennessee fans. They have to pee in a trough and see all this raggedy stuff. They have to deal with that. But there's a lot of upgrades that need to be done. This is the only time to do it. It's in the offseason. In the short past, right after the last game, I remember when Tennessee played Vanderbilt at home, is when Nico visited. Immediately after that game, that's when construction started to enhance the experience for the fans. So whether it was the party deck or the premium seats, putting those awesome seats there, that construction started right after the Vanderbilt game. And so the last home game, construction started right then as well. And so you need time. It takes time to put this work in and make sure that it's ready for the first of the season. And so they went to the contractor. They said, is there any way that we can do this? Contractor gave him that number. So it's $10,000. Does it feel unfair that the people that got the goal gets the first opportunity? Yeah, it is fair. It's fair. It's pretty fair. And so, yeah, it's going to stink for some people not being able to go to the spring game, but like you got to think long term here. That weekend is probably going to be the biggest baseball series in Knoxville when Tennessee plays LSU, defending national champions. You're going to have opportunity to host recruits. Like, you got to have the orange and white game right here. We can't be having the orange and white game in Chattanooga or in the Tri-Cities or somewhere else and then telling all our fans, hey, don't go to Knoxville where Tennessee is hosting LSU. It's going to be the biggest baseball series of the season in our newly renovated baseball stadium. Don't come to Knoxville. Go to the orange and white game in a different city. That makes no sense. You can't do that. So, got to have the orange and white game here. Big weekend for recruits. Big opportunity to use baseball. We saw baseball feeding off football, football feeding off baseball in terms of recruiting. So, I'm surprised, Ben. I'm proud that I haven't seen much complaining about it.
Yeah, I am as well. It felt like something I believe Tennessee gave just about all the news outlets in town the heads up that they were going to be announcing this at 2:00 yesterday. And when I first heard the details, I said, "Oh Lord, here comes the storm." I thought a lot of people were going to be very upset with this, and I have not seen that reaction. I agree with you. I've been surprised, and I think most people understand, and it is a one-off should be a one-off. And my really only thought is that I just feel bad for the families who this is an easy opportunity to bring their family to Neyland Stadium because Neyland Stadium is an attraction. You make fun of me for sitting in the press box now, but prior to moving to Knoxville, I was that high school kid and that junior college kid who was dragging my dad up to Knoxville for a Saturday to go to the spring game and pinching pennies and saving as much money as I could while selling shoes at Dick's Sporting Goods to pay for my tuition at junior college and also save up and pay my way to come to a couple football games in the fall. So I've been that fan to where I don't live in Knoxville and I don't get to see Neyland Stadium on a daily basis, whether it's from the outside or the inside or Thompson Bowling Arena or Lindsey Nelson Stadium. My current job allows me to see these things on a daily basis, and that can lead to losing perspective on how cool it is to see these stadiums and arenas on a daily basis that mean so much to Tennessee fans. So I do feel bad for the fans that this is an easy experience to make happen, whether it be for themselves, whether it be for their young family, their kids to get inside of Neyland Stadium pretty much for free. It's been free as long as I can remember. It's a cheap way and a real easy way to simply get your family inside of Neyland Stadium and be able to experience Neyland, even if it is just a spring game. So I feel bad that won't be able to happen this year, but it's a necessary evil. I mean, it's as simple as that, and I think most people understand that. If you want to have the biggest, baddest, nicest stadium, you've got to make renovations. And unfortunately, the downside to renovations, especially big renovations, is the access to the facility when it's under construction. It's just not the same, especially when they're changing so much that they are this off season. So it's an unfortunate situation, but a necessary evil to make sure that Neyland Stadium becomes the next iteration, beautiful iteration of Neyland Stadium.
I mean, it's inconvenient, but it's absolutely the right thing to do. Chip Payne says, I've heard some complaining on other shows, but it's primarily an old guy who doesn't even attend the orange and white game ever, but is still complaining about who will get the tickets. Exactly. Proof and evidence that people just want to complain. Even if it doesn't affect them, even if it's logically the best decision to make, you know what? I just want to complain. I just want something to complain about. Volstorm says that's because fans are used to getting the big orange screw. Really? Really, Volstorm? I can sense the sarcasm in the text box. Vol Village will be open, and with that, there will be a watch party. So there will be screens set up. There will be, I want to say, a watch party for the baseball game as well. And so you have administration that's doing the best that they can, trying to upgrade because it desperately needs it, but at the same time, trying to cater to their fan base. I don't see a reason why anybody would complain.
No, I mean it's
why expect, if you have a limited amount of tickets, why expect anyone besides your biggest givers to get first priority? Like, why would you even expect anything different? Why? Like, if you were a big donor and you gave 6 figures to the university, would you expect top priority as well? Absolutely. Like, if you pay Amazon Prime, you expect your damn package to come in the mail sooner than if you don't pay Amazon Prime. So I don't get why anybody would be confused or feel a certain type of way, get your money up. I mean, that's the best advice I can give you.
Yep. I'm with you. I mean, I think given the situation, Tennessee's administration is doing the best job that they can with it.
Yeah.
They're taking the lemons that they've been dealt and trying to make the best lemonade possible. And again, I mean, do you want Neyland Stadium to be renovated
or not?
or not? I mean, that's what it boils down to. And I think the answer to that is a unanimous yes. And unfortunately, what comes with the renovations again is the facility mostly being unusable during the off season.
Being let's keep it a buck here. Spring game is not going to be popping.
No.
Like let's sit here and think about this. You got a quarterback situation. You can't afford anyone to come close to the quarterbacks. You think real football's going to be played? It's not going to be played. You can't. Tennessee has a sophomore quarterback making his second start, this upcoming season. His backup is former walk-on. The third string quarterback is a true freshman. You can't play around. I don't care how good James Pierce is. You better not come close to Nico. You better stop in your tracks, James Pierce. You can't come close to him. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? If you are a pass rusher, you cannot get close to the quarterbacks. It ain't just about hitting them. You can't come close to them within 4 yards of them. Why? Because when a quarterback throws and follows through, your helmet doesn't need to be anywhere near his follow through. That's how you have broken thumbs, broken fingers. So understand you ain't gonna get no real football game. But who's not excited about seeing Nico? Like, everybody should be excited about seeing Nico. I saw an article on CBS Sports talking about Nico. Like, everyone's excited about seeing Nico. So I get wanting to be in Knoxville and see Nico, see this offense with some of the new pieces. I'm excited to see it too. But this is what we have to do. You can watch it on TV. Or you can come to Knoxville, hang out with Ben. They're involved Village. It's still a great reason to be in Knoxville. You got a top 10 potential matchup between Tennessee and LSU on the baseball diamond. Like, you need to be in Knoxville, period, point blank. But no reason to be complaining about orange-white game, limiting tickets to 10,000.
And again, as you and I said, we have seen minimal complaining since they announced it. My biggest surprise was that they're even playing a spring game. I don't think college coaches like the spring game. I think that they would rather hold a practice than a spring game. And I figured this would be the perfect excuse to get out of a spring game. So I'm surprised that they're playing one in the first place.
Well, 2 years ago, they didn't do one. And so because you didn't do one 2 years ago, you kind of owe it to the fans to at least try to do it and have somebody in there. Amazing golf ball whacker guy says it's the spring game. How many big donors are going? I get first priority, but it's not a real game. Yeah. I didn't say that the people who are getting first priority are actually going to go. I know for a fact that some of the folks that are getting first priority are not going to go because it's a spring game. It's not a real game. Like, I'm good. I got other stuff to do. I'm going to my beach house, my lake house, my second house. I'm going on vacation. Like, I'm good, man. thank you. And if you're Tennessee, that's what you have to do that. You have to offer and extend that common courtesy because they are donors and boosters who donate a lot of money, knowing that they're probably not going to come anyways. But it's the principle. You still have to offer it to them. And then once they say no or do not use them, then you make them available to everyone else. That's what you're supposed to do. All right. Can we not let the folks who can't afford to go to games make the spring game? I know they wouldn't take it for granted. Yeah, we can do that. Just not this year. I mean, it sounds harsh, but like, I don't know how to be anything else besides direct here. Like, yeah, we can do that. We can take everybody that typically can't go to football games and can't afford football games and make sure they're able to go to a spring game. We can do that on a normal year. This is not a normal year, so we can't do it this year. I hope is that the priority tickets, those people say, no, I'm good, man. Give them to somebody else that will appreciate it even more. Not saying that the donors won't appreciate it, but give it to someone who normally can't go to a game. That's what I hope. I hope all of them do that. And people that are at the game are people, like Nelson from Jackson, guys who are willing to drive 6-7 hours to come to a spring game. Like, give it to those folks. Because honestly, those high-level donors and boosters, they're coming to fall scrimmages anyways. They get to see the real good stuff. The real good stuff.
They're going to see the spring scrimmages, spring practices before the spring game.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't see all this from Nelson. Nelson called Gerald Mincy a former Vol. Yeah.
Because he is a former Vol.
Yeah. And a former Gator.
And he's going to be a former Wildcat at some point.
Yeah. For some reason, he's the only person on Kentucky's program that's publicly calling out Tennessee.
There will be a recruit over the summer who picks Tennessee over Kentucky, and Vince Morrow will tweet at that point as well.
I think he's learned his lesson on that, man. It backfired a couple times.
When I was in Rupp Arena a couple weeks ago, I had my eyes peeled for Gerald Mincy. I was waiting on him to be positioned behind Tennessee's bench or something, or in the front row of the student section, cheering against the Vols, saying some hateful stuff against his former team. But
good luck, bro.
Probably too busy out driving where he's not supposed to be driving, or driving how he's not supposed to be driving.
Yeah, man. Good luck, man. I hope it works out. Camden, Tennessee Vols says poverty program. You can't call them USC either. Oh, yeah, man. I forgot about that. Yeah. South Carolina is what it is then. Living in North Carolina, when Ben said Carolina, I immediately went to NC Hills. And I thought, what the heck? Love you, Ben. But call it South Carolina, brother.
I did call it South Carolina the first time it was brought up. And when you write, after you don't call it in a 500 to 700 word story, you don't call it South Carolina every single time you refer to it as South Carolina. You don't want to be repetitive, so you switch up the names. South Carolina, Carolina, the Gamecocks. I don't only use the C word. I refrain from using that one. And I don't use USC. I don't use USC.
What's the C word?
Take game off of Gamecocks. I don't use that in my writing.
You can't say it?
I mean, I can. I just prefer not to.
You feel weird? Like you feel like it's a bad word or something?
I mean, I said it earlier on the show. I called them the Cocks earlier on the show. I don't think it's a bad word, but
why you don't want to say it? Because you don't want to make yourself start laughing. You know why? Because you're immature. That's why.
No, that's not why. It's not why.
You're going to start laughing. You don't want to make yourself start laughing. So you don't even want to say it.
No, I'm not an Arkansas basketball fan or player. There are several people, a lot of people that word makes them feel uncomfortable. So I try my best to refrain from using it, particularly in a writing format. So you're not supposed to refer to like with Tennessee, you can't refer to them as Tennessee every time you refer to them in your story. It's Tennessee, it's UT, the Volunteers, the Vols, the Big Orange. You got to mix it up. You can't be repetitive. So I can't say South Carolina a million times in a story. So sometimes they get referred to as Carolina. I don't do USC, though, because USC is 1,000% University of Southern Cal.
Do you call them what they have called their own student section?
What are they, the cockpit?
No, the Cock Commanders. That's what they call themselves. See? Told you.
But
couldn't handle
it. No, I can handle. Never mind. I'm not going to finish that sentence.
you over laugh. See, I knew it. I knew it. All right,
I wasn't expecting you to say Cock Commanders.
Well, that's what they call themselves. Remember, they were looking for a student section name. Like Tennessee had kind of the same thing. We were looking for a name, and we landed on Rocky Top Rowdies. Auburn's. What are theirs? I know you know. What do they call their student
Auburn?
section?
Don't know. Maybe the Eagle's Nest. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. But every student section gotta have a name to it. But I do agree with you, man. The Auburn atmosphere. That's something else, man.
I'll tell you this.
That's intimidating.
I know this was a topic of conversation a couple weeks ago with Danny White's tweet about the student section. I'm telling you right now, I don't know the logistics. I don't know what needs to change. I don't know why it is. But what I do know is I go to these other arenas and it's louder than Thompson-Boling. Texas A&M on Saturday felt louder than I felt it at Thompson-Boling this season. And that should not happen when your arena fits 21,000 and their arena fits 12,000. Same for Kentucky when it was rocking and rolling in Rupp. Same at North Carolina. Auburn in the past. I don't know why. I don't know the logistics. I don't know what the best change would be. I don't know if it's Tennessee's basketball fan base having some apathy towards the regular season.
No,
but
it ain't that.
The arena has not been what it should be this season for a top 5, top 10 basketball program that has a legitimate chance to go make it to a Final Four. It has not been loud enough, and there have been other arenas that I have been in that have been louder that should not be louder than Tennessee. So Danny White can tweet about the student section numbers all he wants, but it seems different elsewhere is all I'm saying.
Hey.
Maybe it just happens to be where I'm sitting. Like at A&M, I was sitting right next to the student section. But it seemed louder than me sitting right next to the student section in Thompson-Boling. So maybe it's just a coincidence, but it seems different this year. It seems something seems off.
I like it, man. I like it. Call a spade a spade. Get louder. Get louder. You play Auburn here in a couple weeks. You play Kentucky. We'll see. All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning.
Hey, it's Rusty.
What's up, Rusty?
Well, I just wanted to see if I could help Ben with clarification on why it feels that way. First of all, it's such a huge arena. The sound does escape a little bit. And I know Rupp and the Dean Smith Center are big places too, but like that place, watching it seemed loud and electric during the Alabama game earlier this year. But I get what you're saying, because during the LSU game last Wednesday, it seemed like, it was at Bearden High School, between a couple of junior high teams playing.
And on top of that, Rusty, remember, Tennessee had jumped out to a big lead, but then kind of took its foot off the gas in the second half, and then LSU started making a bunch of threes. And would they cut it to like 9?
Yeah.
With what, the under 8 timeout or so, was it?
And the crowd tried to give some energy, but it wasn't really it was kind of stale.
The crowd was leaving.
Yeah.
There were many elder people, calling it what it is, many elder people, when LSU cut it to single digits, when it was technically still a game, leaving the lower bowl when it was still technically a basketball game with 8 to 10, whatever the minutes was left in the game. It was towards the end. People were trying to beat the traffic, get out.
I was trying to get to the reason the way it is that way.
Yeah, Ben. Listen.
It's Kentucky and Carolina. It doesn't matter if they're each playing Wofford. Their crowd is crazy because that's all they've ever had. And every one of their olds that do have the premier seating, those people have grew up loving Kentucky basketball more than they love their spouse. And when they're in that arena, they're on their feet and as loud as they can possibly be because it's all they've ever cared about. But in TBA, if it's not a big opponent, those same people haven't loved Tennessee basketball that are sitting in those premier seats their entire life the way Kentucky and Carolina fans have. So they're more like, I'm just here to watch a basketball game and enjoy it, unless it's a big atmosphere. And usually when it's a big atmosphere, those people have sold their tickets for some ungodly price, and somebody that actually wants to be there is sitting in those seats.
There you go. I was wondering when it was going to be said. Like,
I don't think that needs to be said. I think that's stating the obvious. We've had several conversations about that over the last couple of years.
We need a reminder.
That's absolutely the issue.
It's a reminder. Yeah, and we see examples of it all the time when Tennessee loses games that people don't think they should have lost. You get football fans who are lukewarm basketball fans that have the hottest of hot basketball takes
and have no clue.
Across as someone that has been watching basketball all their life, and they don't even like the sport. They're lukewarm about it. They like it a little bit, but they don't really understand it. And so those are the people who are like, you should never be losing like this. And they didn't play hard. And yeah, they play hard. They just lost and was off tonight. That happens in basketball. You have casuals more in basketball than you do football. And Kentucky's stadium, I remember being up there, Ben, and them fans was leaving sooner than they should have. They were leaving just like Tennessee basketball fans was leaving sooner than they have. So, we have this battle with Kentucky, but there's some similarities. I think our basketball fan base is kind of similar to their football fan base. It ain't the main thing. It ain't the main thing, and we'll support it. We'll go, but we ain't rabid about it, and we ain't we're not willing to get arrested like some fans are in football games in Tennessee. We willing to get arrested. We're willing to tailgate all day. We're willing to put our hands on you if you say something crazy about Nico. It's just different. There's a different passion. We love Rick Barnes and what he stands for, and man, we support him. He's winning and not get in trouble. But that football though, and I see people give football team and program passes that the basketball program don't get. Guys, the basketball program is healthier. They're closer to winning the championship. They operate. I don't know about closer to winning a championship, but you know what? I'll say that. I think
closer to winning a championship.
Closer to winning a championship. You don't have any drama with the basketball program. You have a coach who's a Hall of Famer, first selection Hall of Famer. But it don't matter, man. People just they're football fans first, and it shows. It's just I don't think that's going to change. I don't care if you move the student section like you have Auburn or Alabama's. It just is what it is, I think, here.
Ben, the other thing is when you go on the road, you're seeing a home crowd who are watching their biggest game of the year come to town.
That's a good
So
point.
they're up when the Vols come to town right now. We are the program that when you show up on the away campus, you're getting the other crowd's best effort. But I will say this: if they did something as simple as just give the first five rows around the entire bowl, around the entire court to the students, it would greatly improve everything. And I know Danny don't want to say that. But I mean, that's not that many seats. And give every one of those people that sit in those five rows a box. Give them one of them press boxes. Give them one of them suites with bathrooms and TVs and couches. Give them that, and give the first five rows to the students all the way around. And then it does two things. One, on TV it looks better because that's what you see on TV is you see the first five rows of enthusiasm from the crowd. And it forces the people that sit behind them students to get off their butts because they can't see over them.
Yeah. I look at this conversation and issue and quotations, air quotes here. It's like Tennessee football recruiting this season. It's good. It just needs to be better. Like our basketball atmosphere is good, but we have examples of other places being better. Like you watch on TV, like I remember growing up watching Duke, like, oh my gosh, man, that thing is rocking. Man, that stadium looks huge. It looks like there's so many people in there. And then as I got older, I realized, oh, that's a high school gym. But like, the way they framed it, it made it look bigger than what it really was and louder than what it really was because those fans was right there on the court. And so
Auburn's done well too. Yeah, Auburn on TV looks great because all the students are across the court from where the cameras face the whole game. Actually, if you're sitting on the side where the cameras are coming from, it's not that ruckus on that side.
Yeah,
I went there like 3 years ago. What now?
I said I understand both sides of this thing. I understand Danny White's argument. I understand general fans' argument. I do, and this is a good problem to have. This is a great problem to have. This is a great topic to discuss. I just don't know if you can just change everything around. We have to understand that money matters.
But here's my question, Swain. I agree with what you're saying, but how much would doing what Rusty said do? How much would that really affect Tennessee's bottom line?
I don't know. I'm not on that.
I get that, but I would think that it wouldn't disrupt things all that much. 5 rows.
I wish I knew.
And not saying that would be like the exact answer, but something like I don't think it like at a place like Tennessee, like I don't think that's affecting your bottom line enough to where that shouldn't be considered.
How about this, Ben? We don't need all that upper deck. We don't need all that upper part of the arena. When are we gonna put boxes on the opposite side from where the boxes already are? Put more boxes up on that other side.
Now, hold on.
And give all the people that want to sit on pillows.
Hold on there, Rusty. We still got offensive tackles to buy.
That's two separate budgets.
Hold
on,
no.
And Swain's comment just showed why we're having this conversation.
Hold on now, Rusty. Let's not get carried away.
Swain reminds us why we're having this conversation in the first place.
I need to because y'all starting to
No, you don't because at a place like Tennessee, you don't have to pick and choose. This isn't Vanderbilt.
Right.
You don't have to pick and choose at Tennessee. This is not Missouri. This is not Mississippi State or Ole Miss. You have enough money to go around for everybody.
You do, but not all at the same time. You got renovations going on in football.
Yes.
You got renovations going on in baseball. You got renovations going on with the football complex that's severely outdated. This is what NFL scouts have said. You got all these projects going around. I'm not disagreeing with you, but the reason that we're in this position because it was neglected for so many years by other people, and now we're trying to fix it all in one spot. And we can't when you have college football and college athletics shifting to a different place. And quite frankly, we're going to need to pay for some really good football players.
Yes. I mean, I agree with you there. I'm saying we don't have to pick over basketball renovations over that. And Vol fan, we're going to continue to complain about the basketball atmosphere because it sucks this year. That's why we're going to complain about it. LSU last week was pathetic. You have a top 5, top 10 basketball team who can go win a national championship and last week was pathetic. So we're going to continue to complain about it because it's pathetic.
Okay. All right, man. All right,
I'm
Russ,
just
thanks.
saying.
All right.
I'm just last thing I send a check to the university and I send a check to the collective. I don't send them to the same place, so it's two separate entities. We can pay the left tackles. We can pay left tackles and Dalton Connects from one place, and we can pay to renovate the arena or renovate Neyland or Lindsey Nelson from the other side.
For now, you send two different.
Yeah, right. It's going to be the same place.
Exactly.
Same place.
That's my point. All right, Rusty.
Yeah.
See you.
All right, y'all be good.
Yeah, for now.
The amount of people that were leaving with 10 minutes left in that basketball game last week, when technically it was still a game before Tennessee finished on a 17-2 run, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Midweek games that are late. Hey man, we got jobs, man. We got stuff to do in the morning. So I understand with more students, you probably don't get that. I truly get both sides of it because I want for our players to have the best atmosphere, the most. Like, I want us to be better than Duke. I want our atmosphere to be better than Duke. I get jealous when I hear, Auburn's, and their home court advantage is the best in the SEC. I get jealous. I do. I understand really both sides of it. But, like, logistically, what all would you have to change to have that, and would it be worth it? Because, like, we're talking 80-20 rule here. Like, bro, it's a great atmosphere. You are top 5 in attendance, and you're printing money. Are you willing to change it for the other 20% without risking part of the 80%? That's how I look at it.
No, you're spot on.
That's how I look at it. But I like you calling out the fans, not being loud. I like that. I mean,
it is what it is. It is what it is. This is not a basketball team from the Conzo Martin era, and I don't say that to call out Conzo, but like these aren't average basketball teams. These are basketball teams that have a chance to go make it to the Final Four and win a national championship, and something has been different this year. I don't know the exact reason. Maybe it's just apathy with this basketball team in the regular season and hoping that this can be the year that they get over the top in March, but something has been different, and hopefully it'll also be different than it has been all season when, like you said, Swain, Auburn and Kentucky come to town later this month or later this season.
Ben McKee calling you out, Tennessee fans. Call you out.
Hey, if it makes the environment better, I'm all for it because love is still in the air, and that's a good thing, Swain, because if you're not in love with your home and you want to buy a new one, you can call Jennifer Morris of Keller Williams Realty, and she will take great care of you. Terrific care. Exactly 2 weeks from today, I will be closing on the home that I am currently in. I'll be getting rid of this little, what is this thing called? The hotel room?
Hut. You live in a hut.
Yeah, unit. There you go. I'll be getting rid of this and getting into a nice new home that doesn't have one. So I'm excited about that. And if you want to be excited about getting into a new place or accomplishing whatever you want to accomplish in real estate, can't encourage you enough to reach out to Jennifer Morris of Keller Williams Realty. She is the absolute best.
Yeah, that unit right there next to you, it does look like you in the La Quinta Inn. La Quinta Inn, excuse me.
A La Quinta.
Like your La Quinta Inn. It does look like that. I'm sorry, man. I'm trying to crop it out. I can't.
Leave me alone.
I try to take it out of the shot, man. I can't take it out of the shot. Like, you still can
leave
see
me
it.
alone.
I'm trying to hide it the best way I can, man. I got the cell phone in front of it. I'm trying to hide it, man. Golly. I don't know if you're at home or you're on the third floor.
I think Volfan kidnapped me and put me in a hotel room somewhere because she was mad at me criticizing the basketball environment.
Yeah, we're gonna keep moving. That doesn't sound right. Preach it, Rusty. Evil. Vol fan. Ben is right.
we also had many, many conversations about a lot of other things before we got to that conversation.
Oh, yeah. So we covered the basketball game last night. Tennessee may or may not have to replace the linebackers coach. Tennessee is trying to replace Jerry Mack. Discussed that, has some baseball questions that been tackled. Baseball season is here. The weather, man, it's winter, but it sure don't feel like it, man. It must know that baseball season is here. So this is a great time right now, man, to be a Tennessee fan. As far as the court ruling, we will know when we know. No time has been set. Great job, everybody, going up there to Greenville and covering it. I think everyone did a great job from different platforms, different sites. So you may have your favorite. Ben obviously works for 247, but I thought everybody did a really, really, really good job in how they covered that. Before we wrap up today's show, it's important to know and understand what's going on right now at Hiller. They have a promotion. They have promotions every single month. This month, right now, you get a free UV light when you purchase a select new HVAC system. You can get a free whole home surge protection when you buy new whole home generators. Or you can get 50% off a descaler when you buy a new tankless water heater. You can find all these details online at happyhiller.com. Happy you'll be, or the service is free. Any last minute good stuff here on the text box before we close out? Big Willie Style agrees with your take there about the LSU game. Wasn't our best. Simple as that. Don't get in your feelings, people. Just embrace the truth there. Ben ain't lying. Ben ain't lying. We're not gonna go into more detail about it, but you wasn't lying there. Orange and white game, we discussed that. 10,000 seats, but Vol Village is going to be open. There'll be a viewing party. Baseball, huge opponent that weekend. The defending champions, LSU, will come to town. And so you still should mark that weekend on your calendar and plan to be here. So lot of good stuff going on around Tennessee athletics. Ben? It's been real. Vanderbilt comes into town this weekend, Tuesday. Man, hopefully we're talking about a completed football staff. Hopefully we're talking about a blowout win. Maybe we're discussing the court ruling from Judge Corker, the federal case versus NCAA. Hopefully we're not looking for a linebackers coach on Tuesday where we have to discuss it. But I hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day. Hope everyone has a great weekend. And we'll be back on Tuesday for another edition of the Swain Event. Appreciate everyone listening, watching, and for those listening on the podcast, big thank you. That is brought to you by Beta Chevrolet and BetaChevrolet.com as well. For Ben McKee, I'm Jason Swain. The Swain Event is fueled by Data and Barbecue. Peace and much love. We are out.